Hi, this is Kathy Quinn with Floriani. Floriani is a division of R&K Distributing, and I want to welcome you to this week's project of the week. I thought we'd play with the circle template tool just so we can start understanding the functions and create maybe a cute center for a tablecloth. So let's start. The first thing I'm going to do is I remembered when I was little how we'd take the letters of our name and we'd mirror image them, would cut them out of paper, and would make a different design out of that letter. So that's what I started with today. So I'm going to come up to my Monogram tool right here, and I'm going to left mouse click. Now the reason I chose the monogram letters rather than the regular text lettering is the monogram letters are alphabets that Walter went through and chose specifically for the fact that these letters look good standing on their own. They make a good monogram. So I'm going to start, and I'm going to put a K for Kathy, and I'm going to use the anniversary font. Now of course you can go through and pick what you like. I think I'm going to stay with the height right now at 0.79, and I'm going to apply that. So I have a single letter K on my screen. Now I'm going to come up and I'm going to select the circle template. And I'm just going to left mouse click on it. And as you can see, it comes up. Now the first thing we see is that it's got 6 letter Ks. Now the circle dimensions, right now they're at 100% width and height. I can make the radius of that circle smaller by changing these numbers or larger. We're going to stay at this point. Now that's going to start that. Now how many do I want? I actually decided I wanted 12. So I've changed that to 12. Now notice it changed the letter of the angles automatically. And we can offset angles. We could come in here and play with this a little bit. Let's apply those letters. And then let's just play a little bit. We've got 12. The angle's at 30 degrees. Now I could come in here and start offsetting. So let's see what offsetting the angle does for us. Let's go in here and start playing and see what that does. And this is really what I do. I start looking at this because I don't necessarily understand what angle is it offsetting. What's it working with? So I found the best way to do this is to look at it. Now I click this several times. And let's see if we can tell what it's doing. Well, I think I clicked it too many times. And I'm going to tell you, there we go. So we have offset that angle a little more. It didn't seem to do anything that was spectacular for this design. So I'm going to put that back at 0. Now the design properties is the size of the letter K. I can change that. Now the angle is the angle of the letter K's themselves. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to change this, and I'm just going to hold down my mouse key on the up arrow, my left mouse, until I like how this looks. And I got it where I really liked it in practice. So let's see here. You know, when I open my little program that shows you the where I can draw the red lines for you, it makes everything move a little slower. Now notice how my K's are angling. Now what I want is, I love this look where they all look connected. So now it looks kind of like a vine. It just looks pretty. But I've used the letter K. Well, now I'm going to say I like this, and I'm going to say OK, and let this go ahead and come up on screen. So there is that circle. Now I'm going to come back in and I'm going to change the color. I'm going to change to a different color of blue here. And I'm just going to left mouse click on a different shade. Doesn't matter what at this point. Now we're going to come back up to our monogram tool and left mouse click on it. And again, I'm going to come and I'm going to click on screen. And I'm going to come type in the letter Q for Quinn. And I'm going to change that Q. I want it to be about 1.5. And I'm going to apply that. Now there's my letter Q. Now this time, instead of selecting the circle template, I'm going to come over and select the corners repeat. Now with this, I can change the distance, the horizontal and vertical distance between the letters, but I'm going to leave them like that is right now. What I'm interested in is the angle. And I'm just going to hold this angle until this gets where I think it looks like a neat design. There we go. I like that. In fact, I want to come back just a little bit. There we go. Now that I've got this where I like it, I'm going to say OK. Now you can apply to keep seeing in your preview, and it'll keep changing it on your preview screen, but once you say OK, you're in real mode and you have actually come in here and you have changed this. Now this is a little bit big. I don't think it looks really good this big, so I'm just going to grab a corner handle and drag it in and make it a little smaller. Now I like that. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is, with these selected, I'm going to come up here to my ruler, my toolbar, and I'm going to select my group tool. I want to group these so that the program sees this as one piece. If you notice in here, I could select each one of these K's individually, but I want to see that all as one piece as well. So I'm going to select all of them by selecting all of that color in my sequence view here, and I am going to, whoa, it says ungroup, so these are grouped if I select them here. I'm good. So now these are grouped and these are grouped. So we're good for grouping. Now with all of these grouped, I'm going to come back into my sequence view and I'm going to select all items. And then I'm going to come up here to my alignment tools, and I'm going to drop down the arrow and I'm going to left click on vertical align, and then I'm going to come back and do horizontal align. So I know that they're centered one in another. So now I like my centering. Now I want to kind of play outside the lettering. So I'm going to select my outside ring, and what I'm going to do is I want to do something outside this. So I'm looking at this, and I could come in here and tell it to create an outline around this, but I don't want the outline to not be, I don't want it to dip around each piece of this design. I want a nice smooth circle. So I'm going to actually come up to my artwork tool right here with my artwork shapes right here. Now I am going to select the circle, and if you notice up here at the top, it says the height of my circle is 4.75 inches. That's the size of my design. So I'm going to look at this. Do I like the space in here? I think so. So I'm just going to hold my left mouse key and draw a circle. Now this is artwork, so notice my properties box. All I can do is artwork or transform it, so I'm going to grab transform. Since I know this circle is 4.75, I'm going to make my circle 4.78 by 4.78 because I want a perfect circle. So now I've created this artwork circle here, and I'm going to move it right into place. And again, I can center this. So that's not a problem. I could come back and align center, horizontal and vertical, but I can see that that looks really good. I just want it right on the outside of the little leg on the K's. So now I've got a piece of artwork. I'm going to come down to my one-click wonders down here, and I am going to select a run stitch. Now the reason I have created this line, this run stitch line, is I do want to put some outlines around it, but I wanted them to be circles going out. If I had just selected the K's and told it to create an outline, it would have done all the in and outs, and I didn't want that. So now with this circle selected, I'm going to tell it create an outline. Now I want 5 outlines, and I want them about 0.30, a little over 1/4 of an inch apart. And I'm going to say, okay, so I'm going to have 5 circles around this, and they're going to be a little over 1/4 of an inch apart. So you can see what we've done. Now let's come up here, right here to our zoom or our view, and I am going to tell it to fit. So now it's fit to screen. Now notice if we come over into our sequence view and scroll down, these circles are artwork. They are not stitches yet. So I'm going to select these artwork circles, and it's easier to select them in my sequence view by left mouse clicking and selecting this color. Now that I've got it selected, I want to turn these into stitches. But what I would like is I would like some pretty motif stitches. So I'm going to come down to my one-click wonders. I'm going to click on the second one, which is the motif runs, and it has now put a motif run in there. Well, I'm going to come in here and I'm going to scroll down. I'm going to look and say, what do I like? Well, you know what? I think this 232 is kind of cute. So I'm going to select 232 and I'm going to apply. I'll take a second to apply here. Okay, that's done. Now I think I would like some spacing between each of those little motifs, because see, we have these little motifs and they're hooked together. But I can add some spacing in there, and I think I'm going to put about 2 millimeters in between them. So I'm going to apply that. Now I think that looks really neat. Now we've got our letters done in here, and we've put this. Now this line that I created, this run stitch right here that you'll see in your sequence view, I only used it to create my outline, so I really don't want it. So I am just going to delete that by hitting the delete on my keyboard and removing it after I highlighted it. And now I've got my design. Now I'm not a blue person, so I'm probably going to come over here and say, let's change the color wave on this. Let's find colors. Let's just go with reds. I really like red. Now I can come in here and pick a red. And then I can select, come up here. Let's just go on up. Let's go and select in here. I think I'm going to make them the same red. In fact, I'm going to get all items and make them all red. That takes care of it. By left mouse clicking on that red. So now we have this whole design completed. Now, it's just a fun little exercise, learning to use the options within your circle template, your corner templates. Start playing with these things. Change the distance in here. It made a whole different look. Now I can put it in 3D view, which is, remember, it's still a computer generated. So it's a cute little design. But think of what you could do with centers for tablecloths, maybe some pretty napkins. Do some center fun motifs and go around and play with your tools. I hope you enjoyed this week's lesson. I look forward to seeing you next week.